The guest that was on there said that there was this British journalist who was astonished because there was gold in the Bank of England that was actually cracking. And gold, when it's pure, doesn't crack. Monetized gold is pure gold. Now, this gentleman who was the guest said, well, you know, that's really easy for someone who really understands gold, because the only non-pure gold that had ever been monetized was the gold that had been collected at Fort Knox. So the only gold in the world that could be cracking would be gold that originated from Fort Knox, sold to the Bank of England. So it kind of iterates that point that there's really not what we think there is in Fort Knox. But it's a very pretty looking building. Now here's my kind of conclusion section. And this is where I will try to relate what I've mentioned to what I said last week and how this relates ultimately to spiritual warfare and the warfare over your mind, body, and soul and all that jazz. There's basically a three-step plan for world government. First would be to centralize bank domination of national economies worldwide. That's been done by now. Next is to centralize regional economies through the European Monetary Union, which eventually became the European Union. Then through like NAFTA, which is now the Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America, which is eventually going to lead to a North American Union. You also have the African Union, which is in works, and also the Asian Union, which is in works. And the ultimate goal of the North American Union is to turn it into an American Union by expanding NAFTA to South America. Probably a lot of words, I know, but anyway. And then the third stage is to centralize the world economy with a world central bank. And let's see. Now, if you remember last week, I introduced you to a guy by the name of Carroll Quigley, who wrote the book Tragedy and Hope in the 1960s. He was the Georgetown professor of Bill Clinton, probably by my estimation and a few others' estimations, the reason that Clinton draft dodged in Vietnam. And he said that the powers of financial capitalism had a far-reaching plan, nothing less than to create a world system of financial control in private hands, able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole. This system was to be controlled in a feudalistic fashion by the central banks of the world, acting in concert by secret agreements arrived at in frequent meetings and conferences. The apex of the system was to be the Bank for International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, a private bank owned and controlled by the world central banks, which were themselves private corporations. Each central bank sought to dominate its government by its ability to control treasury loans, to manipulate foreign exchanges, to influence the level of economic activity in the country, and to influence cooperative politicians by subsequent economic rewards in the business world. So basically, everyone that we talked about last week in all of the secret organizations, secret societies, most of his book is centered around the creation of the Round Table groups, which, as I mentioned before, was first established by Cecil Rhodes, who was financed economically through the Rothschild family. And this is just one of the means that they use in order to bring the world to that global government idea of creating wars, controlling financial power, that kind of thing. Now, to those ends, the U.S. had rejected the World Central Bank, the BIS. However, the New York Federal Reserve sent representatives to it anyway. Sent representatives, participated in all the meetings, and did so up until 1994, when the U.S. finally was officially, the official U.S. policy changed, and they were now a part of the central bank of the world. So, that's to say I'm finished. I need to take my breath. I'm under an hour though, so we can praise God for that. So basically the conclusion of it all is that these private banks, they control your money, which is extremely important because they control how much your house note is, how much your car payment is, whether or not you have a job, should you work not in here. Also, my ultimate point is to underscore the necessity of doing, kind of as Pastor has been promoting for God knows how many years, of community living and working with each other, especially financially, to support one another and not to just kick your money out to some stranger or foreigners, because you never know what they're going to be using it for. And also, you're going to need each other to survive and sustain some of the different things that are going to be coming in the future. Last week, I ended with Revelations chapter 13, which points toward the one world government idea. It's one central leader, with everyone getting the mark of the beast, which is the world central currency. All of this, the Federal Reserve, the centralized banks, all point and lead to that in kind of incremental ways. So I hope this all made sense. I'm going